Adaeze had always been a woman of faith, faith in love, faith in people, faith in the future. Raised in a small Nigerian village, she learned the value of hard work and sacrifice. Her mother, a widow, struggled to provide for her children, and Adaeze, being the eldest, took on responsibilities beyond her years. She learned to endure, to hope, and to believe that one day life would reward her kindness and devotion. She met Chike at the market one fateful afternoon. He was charming, full of dreams, and spoke of a future where they would rise above their struggles. He was ambitious, always talking about moving to the city, making a name for himself, and taking her along for a better life. Adaeze fell in love, not just with him, but with the hope he represented. She poured everything into their relationship, her time, her earnings, her heart. She cooked for him, supported his hustles, and remained loyal through the toughest of times. She believed they were building something strong, something unbreakable. But Chika had secrets, dark, unforgivable secrets. While Adaeze remained faithful, he lived a reckless life, indulging in pleasures that would soon destroy them both. He spent nights with women whose names he barely remembered, gambled away the money she saved, and drowned his guilt in bottles of cheap liquor. When he began falling sick, she nursed him, believing it was a simple illness. She prayed over him, believing God would heal him, never once suspecting the truth, until the night he called her to his bedside, his voice weak and trembling. "Ada, I have to tell you the truth before I leave this world." "What truth?" she whispered, her heart pounding. Tears pooled in his eyes. "I gave you the virus. I've known for years, but I was scared. I was selfish. I couldn't tell you." The walls closed in on her. The air turned to ice. Her hands trembled as she clutched the bedsheet, her entire world collapsing in a single instant. She wanted to scream, but no sound came out. She had loved him. She had trusted him, and he had given her a death sentence. Chiki died that night, his hands cold, his breath still. But Adaeze's suffering had just begun. Days turned into weeks of isolation and despair. The hospital confirmed her worst fear. She was HIV positive. She locked herself in her small, darkened room, refusing to eat, refusing to speak. The world felt empty, meaningless. The laughter of children outside sounded like mockery. The sun shining through her window felt like an insult. She sat in silence, letting grief carve deep wounds into her soul. Then came the anger, the burning, seething rage that consumed her. Why should she be the only one to suffer? Why should others get to live happily while she counts her days? She thought of the women Chiki had been with, the men who lived recklessly and never paid the price. She thought of all the betrayals she had endured, and something inside her snapped. She devised a plan, one as cruel as the betrayal that had shattered her world. She would make them suffer. She became a fruit hawker. Watermelon was her weapon of choice. It was perfect, juicy, sweet, and consumed by many. She obtained syringes, filling them with her infected blood. Late at night, she carefully injected the fluid into the fruit, slicing it perfectly so the wounds would not be visible. Then, with a practiced smile, she roamed the streets, calling out to customers. "Sweet watermelon! Fresh watermelon!" she called, her voice melodic, hiding the venom within. Children ran to her. Women bought from her. Men relished the juicy fruit. And all the while she watched, knowing the death sentence she was handing them. Weeks passed. News reports surfaced of an unusual rise in HIV cases in her area. Hospitals were confused. Investigations began. People whispered in fear. not knowing what silent plague had crept into their homes. Then, one day, a young girl collapsed after eating a watermelon. A nurse at the hospital noticed a disturbing pattern. All the new HIV patients had recently consumed fruit from street vendors. A trap was set. A man posing as a customer bought from Adaeze. As she handed him a slice, police officers swarmed in. "Madam, you are under arrest for deliberately spreading HIV." Her world ended in chains. Her house was searched. Syringes, vials of blood, and a notebook detailing her twisted revenge were found. In court, victims and their families wept. Some called for her execution, others spat in her direction. She was branded a monster, a curse upon humanity. But Adaeze felt nothing, no regret, no sorrow. She had made peace with her fate the day she chose vengeance over forgiveness. As the judge sentenced her to life imprisonment, she simply smiled and whispered, "I was already dead the day he betrayed me." A story of pain, betrayal, and consequences. Adaeze's story is one of love turned into vengeance. It is a stark reminder of how pain, when left to fester, can turn even the purest hearts into monsters. No matter how deep our suffering, we must never let it consume us. Her tale serves as a chilling warning. Hatred and revenge are prisons of their own, far worse than any sentence the world can impose.